Good job,
I think
man.
my approach is actually going to be more successful in lifting up more black Americans than have been the Lyndon Johnson approach of actually using race-based quota systems.
So without that legislation, I don't think black people stand a chance. We had to create the legislation to even have a chance.
Welcome back. I am Van. We are all the LFR family. Thank y'all so much for clicking play. Hopefully you click this like button as well. That's the only way the video will be pushed to other people. Now, I do realize that a great number of people have been reviewing this Breakfast Club conversation between DJ Envy, Charlemagne the God, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and other people who are calling into the station to ask questions to this gentleman. I just now asked a couple of my family inside of the Twitch feed some information about Vivek Ramaswamy, and they hooked me up. They gave me a complete rundown on this this gentleman they consider to be a genius based off of his accomplishments and the story of his family. And I think it's absolutely phenomenal. Every single time I hear a story like his, it make me go back and say, people, stop complaining about where you are and just go for what you know. Study your ass off and go hard, and you can succeed. Discontinue being a victim. Cut that off and go for yours, because you have people like this gentleman's family who did the exact same thing, and now look at him running for president. And I want to see exactly what he has to say. Apparently a young lady called into the station and it got a little heated. So let's check this out and see exactly what happened.
Figaro, I'm sure Teslin has some questions. Tez, you good?
Yes, I do. So I've heard a lot of, what you think and your vision, and I'm a very practical person, and I want to kind of, opposed to talking about your opponents, let's talk about you for a moment, and let's actually talk about your policy. Explain to me your position on this civic duty voting.
Sure. So my position is, I think that every kid who graduates from high school should know the minimums about the country that we require an immigrant to know about the country in order to become a citizen. So there's a test. My mom had to pass it. Every immigrant has to pass it to this country that asks you some basic questions. What are the three branches of government? What branch of government does the U.S. president lead? Some basic questions about what is the Bill of Rights. It's like a multiple choice exam, or some of them you write in. I think that if we're going to ask immigrants to pass that test, as we should, I think every 18-year-old who graduates from high school should have to pass that as well, because young people, it goes back to that issue of pride. You don't value a country that you don't know something about. You don't value something you inherit. You value something you have a stake in creating, in building, or knowing something about. So how do we think big about this? Well, young people, as I told you, most of them, very few of them vote. As it stands today, super small numbers, and apparently 60% of them say they would rather give up their right to vote than give up TikTok. Well, I say, all right, let's take that to the next level. How about we do something that raises the voting age from 18 to 25, but you still get to vote at 18 if you just pass that same civics test that an immigrant has to pass in order to vote. And tests aren't for everybody, so be it. Then you at least serve in the military or a first responder role for 6 months. That's my civic duty voting proposal. And the reason is, I'll actually make a prediction. I think youth voting in this country will skyrocket. From a very low level right now, it will skyrocket because you value something you actually have to earn.
Okay, I'm gonna play the rest of it, but this is my very first time hearing anything about this, and I don't like taking tests. But I'm 45 years old, married for 25 years in August. Raised 4 children. 2 of them are college graduates, top of their class. One of them is a senior right now, is an engineer, still at the top of his class, and one of them is entering college right now as an engineering student. When it comes to life and common sense, I put myself, on another level based off of Van from yesterday. I don't compare myself with anyone else. The reason why I bring this up is, I know for a fact that if someone does not have a hand in something, if they didn't do anything to help produce something or to make something or to earn something, they do not value it as much as the person who actually put in that blood, sweat, and tears in order to create that thing that they are taking advantage of. All right. And what he's saying makes a whole lot of sense so far. If somebody had to take that same test that these immigrants have to take, they have to take in order to receive citizenship for this country, I believe people will start giving a crap a lot more, and they will take things a lot more seriously, and they will have those type of conversations very early on, and this will be a much better nation. Let me go ahead and get back into this. I might change my position based off of what I hear next, but.
And I think that this is not a left-wing or right-wing point. We all have duties as citizens, right? You know, we aspire to free market capitalism, right? Materialist advance. And that's the life I've lived as well, by the way. My parents came to this country with not a lot of money. I've lived the American dream. I've made a lot of money by building businesses. That's one side of what it means to be an American. But part of it is we also have duties to this country. And I think the more we wake that up, actually, the voting age only became 18 in 1971 in the context of the Vietnam draft. So I just think reviving those ideas is going to be good for us.
A lot. So let's prove your point. Nick, our camera guy, do you know the 3 branches of the federal government?
Over 24, so it don't matter.
But I'm just saying, but nobody knows there are 24. Red, do you know the 3 branches?
Executive.
Well, I got a test. I would like to see if you're willing to pass, because I believe in, just as you believe in civic engagement, I believe in changing the ideas of what political opponents look like, what they should look like, or political candidates. Are you willing to take a test with me quickly? Because I just have a couple of questions for you.
I will, absolutely. And the way this is opening up, I have a feeling I'm about to fail it, but that's good. Let's do it.
That's great.
And he's doing it with a smile on his face, man. He's a good team player. Let's go.
That's right, yeah. Just for clarity, I am an independent. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. Cool. I think that's important for the premise of the argument, because I know you did a lot of debating at Harvard. I also want to make it clear that these are the same questions that I asked liberal Democrat Marianne Williamson. So I want to make sure that we put that out there as well, just to kind of set the foundation.
I'm open to being humbled. Let's do this.
Okay, great. Let's go. So you mentioned, the pride of being an American and how important it is to have pride in this country. I'm also a veteran, by the way, for the United States Air Force. So when is it that you voted for the first time?
I voted in 2020.
Okay, so you're how old again?
I'm 37 years old.
So for how many years you sat around and did not get involved at all in any civic engagement? Is that my understanding?
A long time is the answer. And actually, that's what I wrote this book about. I'm not holding myself out as some sort of model. I'm actually offering myself as a self-reflection of my journey as a citizen, to whom this country has given much, right? As an adult, when you have kids, it changes your perspectives. I'm very honest about that. Absolutely.
Okay, no problem. So let's go deeper into the self-reflection. So you've sat around for, and sir, I'm being as respectful as I possibly can. Please don't take anything
and you don't even have to be. And you don't even have to be. So take it off and let's go.
So you've been sitting around in the country that my ancestors built for about 20 years. Your parents came over as immigrants, brought you over. You made millions, according to your resume, off of this country, and you have absolutely not been involved in civics. 1, not voting, and 2, let me just ask, because I know you mentioned earlier you don't want to sit around at the debate and talk about accomplishments. Let's make the accomplishments pretty simple. In high school, were you ever a class president or take any leadership role? Because your opponent did, Chris Christie. He was the class president. So have you ever taken any leadership at all on anything? Or just
can I just correct a couple factual things
Sure.
that are kind of important? My parents didn't bring me over to the country. I was born in this country, and I'm proud of that.
I know you were born here in Ohio.
Yeah.
Ohio.
You mentioned my parents.
I'm saying
your
parents were immigrants. My apologies.
And that's all right. You said your parents brought you over to this country. I thought I
my
would set that record straight.
I mean, they were immigrants, but let's not go down the water hole.
No. We're not going to water. I just want to correct a couple facts, and then the other thing is
you were born here in Ohio.
I was born in Cincinnati, Ohio. That's right.
Right. So you've been here your entire life. So the question is. Did you take any leadership role in middle school, high school, class president?
I did.
I know you played tennis. What is it?
All right, before we continue, I just want to go back on something. For some strange reason, she has an issue with Vivek Ramaswamy, and she introduced herself as an independent. But then she says, this country that my ancestors built, right? Almost saying that Black people were the only people that built this country. And you're entering into a conversation that you'd like to be objective, but yet that's how you approach the conversation. For some strange reason, people walk around with such anger and hurt and vitriol on their shoulders that they can't have a happy conversation. She even had to put that in there that if I come off as upset or disrespectful, I'm not trying to do that. So yes, you are. You really are. You're fighting being nice. Like some people fight being mean. You're fighting being nice. You're fighting being respectful. All right. So when you go into this conversation and you ask these questions, you gotta approach someone with kindness. You gotta approach someone with love. You gotta give them the same type of energy that you want back. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to receive the same energy that you give them, and it's not going to taste as sweet once it's laid on your plate at all. So understand, this young lady she's boiling the pot, and she's saying certain buzzwords and certain key phrases that just pretty much says where she is right now. But let's continue.
Student council. But, you know, I think that this is yes, I've held leadership roles over my life, but those don't qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
Yeah, it kind of does. Okay, well, it kind of does. Well, I'm giving the test. I'm the test administrator.
All right, there you go.
So it kind of does, because when you go from saying I want to go to the highest office,
and I'll tell you, I've led companies as well. Is the other leader?
Right,
the main leadership role I've played is and I want to talk about one early part of your premise that I also want to say, bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around.
She said that a lot of times. She said sitting around a couple of times. So you were sitting around not voting for this amount of time. So I just want to put that out there. He was sitting around, guys. Y'all hear that right? He was just sitting around, not involved. I'm hearing that. And this all is just negative connotations. Okay.
I want to say, bring it to the country point. The other point, you use the word sitting around. You know, I'm not somebody who's saying I want the next generation, my kids' generation, to have more civic duties when they graduate from high school and college than I did when I did. That being said, I wasn't sitting around. I've developed medicines, 5 of which are FDA-approved products today, one of which is a life-saving therapy in kids, 20 of whom die by the age of 3 if they're not treated, 70% of whom now live lives of a normal duration.
What? Wait a minute, guys. But he didn't vote, though. We want to get back to that. He didn't vote until 2020. We got to make sure we touch that part right there. He wasn't doing nothing. He was just sitting around. He was sitting around. Oh, my gracious. Now you're starting to eat. You're starting to eat that vitriol back. How's it taste? It's coming back to you now. You're talking to somebody that's been saving lives, that's been out there studying his ass off, working his ass off at a high level. I'm talking about a high level. But because he didn't stand in line and vote like you did as a veteran whose ancestors built this country by themselves, you believe you've done something more important than him, and he don't deserve to even think about running for office because he didn't check the boxes that you believe he should have checked.
Another one for prostate cancer. So I don't apologize for making contributions. But
well, I don't want you to filibuster that
no worries.
Because that's not the question that I asked. And I don't consider, as a veteran, I'm talking about service. I'm not talking about what you
Civic
did for profit. I'm not talking about what you paid people to do with your company.
So I've not served the country
because that means nothing to me.
You do
what
realize
I'm talking,
she hasn't been able to ask a question. She's been trying to ask a question, and you've been talking over it.
I'm all ears.
We gave you the platform to let you say.
I'm all defensive.
I'm all ears. No, I was just correcting a couple facts.
She hasn't had a chance to ask a question yet. Every time she tries to ask a question, you've been cutting her off. Good.
Hold on. Whoa, DJ MV. Don't do that, DJ MV. Don't do that, bro. Because obviously, y'all need to hear what's going on. Y'all are matter of fact, they're not missing what's going on. They hear it. They're trying to make sure that her points are covered the way that she wants her points to be covered. Because she said, I hear all of those things that you may have done or paid others to do for profit, but that don't mean anything to me. Saving lives don't mean a damn thing to me. Okay, I want to know what was your civic duty? That's it. That's it. I think she misses what civic duty is. All right, let's go back.
I'm all ears.
Right. So my question again is, you're trying to, your goal is to raise the standard, and you're saying you want people to believe in country and you want people to have civic engagement. Yeah. And sir, I just find it very telling that you haven't had any civic engagement at all and haven't been at all. And when I say sit around, I don't mean you haven't done anything. I'm talking about in regards to service, because one thing about political office, the same way that you want to change how people look at politics and look at this country, I want to change how people look at politicians. And when I see that someone hasn't did anything at all to be of service to mankind, to take a leadership role. It's not good enough to just be on city student council. Were you a leader? All of that applies. Have you been able to get anybody in the room at any time, from a high school gymnasium to Ohio, Republican leadership there to now? Have you been able to get anybody in a room to believe in this vision? I don't agree with a lot of your vision statement, but I do know you've been going around having these discussions and getting everybody emotionally worked up to talk about vision and debate. But I want to get to the practical. You're trying to go from preschool to president of the United States. You're skipping over city council, county council, mayor, governor. You want to go straight to the top. So my question, is this a PR? Is this for the PR, the perception of reality? Or can you point to any leadership where you've been able to get people to believe in what you're talking about that they're not paid to do on any of these vision statements that you have? If not, then to me, it's a moot point, because you're holding a standard that you haven't met yourself.
Before he answers, do y'all understand what she just now said? I understand what she just now said. She wants him to admit to not holding office, admit to not even going down that lane throughout the entirety of his career. And she's saying that because of that, you haven't checked all of the boxes to now run for president. It's like, I was a minister of music. I was a director of music. I played instruments. I've sung a lot and all this other stuff. But when it was when I believed that God called me to pastor, to preach His word, and I had to go to theology school, and then I had to take these tests, and then I had to minister here, minister there, and all this other stuff. Apparently, there was check boxes in order to do that. What he's saying is that, well, let me get to what he actually says, because this is good. This is good.
So if you're only going to count government service, you're absolutely
No, not government
right.
service.
Okay.
Student council in the 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th. Were you a leader? Did you do anything to rally anybody? Did you fight for better lunch? I did in the 6th grade with Miss Harris.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about government. I can go all the way back from the 5th grade every year, sir, because people who are in service to this country, if you're going to go around saying you want people to believe in this country that I signed up to die for, then I want to make sure that you're holding that same standard. So not government, not political. Let's not get it confused. Yeah. I'm saying, have you did anything of service that we can point to say he is a good leader, like Chris? And I'm not even a fan of Chris Christie, but he was the student council president in high school. So have you done anything of service besides yourself that has not benefited yourself? It's just a simple question.
So the acts of service that I have performed are small, so small that I don't even want to talk about them to boast. But yes, have I volunteered for this country? Yes, I have. I've always been interested in healthcare.
It's okay to talk about the small things.
I mean, these are small things, right? But thank you.
Let's just.
Okay. Oh, wait. DJ Envy, when you going to let her know too? You're talking over him. You're not allowing him to answer your question. We asked him to be quiet and not talk over you. You asked your question. Now he's about to answer that question. You now need to be quiet and let him do his thing.
So Bethesda North Hospital.
So it's really a no?
No, it's not a no. It's just something I don't like boasting about. I volunteered.
Well, we're not boasting. It's an interview. You're boasting on your vision and everything else. I think you boasted on the millions of dollars that you made. So let's just throw it out. So in 6th grade, I'll give you an example. I'll help you out. In 6th grade, Miss Harris.
Okay. 6th grade, Miss Harris. All right. Got you. Let the man answer his damn question.
I'll tell you, Miss Harris was Let me give you an example, because maybe you're confused. In the 6th grade, Miss Harris was snatching papers from everybody in the classroom. So me as a 10-year-old, I went to the principal and said, I'm tired of Miss Harris snatching papers. And I organized the students around getting Miss Harris to stop snatching papers. Now, there was a consequence for that. I got suspended for 5 days for talking back, and I got in trouble. I got a spanking, and I was on punishment for months and months. But that is a simple way of organizing people. So I want you to kind of boast about it the way you did the millions of dollars and said what you did with the pharmaceutical companies. What leadership can you point to that you've been able to rally anybody around anything that is of service that you did not pay anybody to do? I think that's important for the next president of the United States.
Sure. So I've always been drawn to healthcare. That's why I ended up founding companies in that space. When I was in high school, part of what drew me into it was that I was a volunteer at a local hospital. I actually became the leader of that group of volunteers that actually discharged women who had recently given birth. That was it. Nothing big to it.
Did you do anything we can point to stand out?
But I want to say something about that, because I say that in the book. if I'm being really honest, why did I do that in high school? A part of the motivation, I'll be just brutally honest with you, was part of the motivation was that's actually what allows you to get into a good college when you graduate. Is
right.
You want
so
to check
it was
the box
about, so it was about you.
So,
there was an about self.
So there's that, and I'm admitting that in a way that very few other people do. But I got to be honest about it. That was a big part of why I did it.
Yeah, it was about self, and I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to give it back to the guys. I'm going to be honest about it with you.
Yep.
Leadership is not about self.
I agree with you on that.
What I just heard is that everything is about you. And to be honest with you, this is just a PR campaign, sir. To be honest with you, and I think you're trying to go further to the right because you want the Republicans to accept you as a man of color. And I think the only way you think you can do that is to be so extreme.
I appreciate your opinion
with your positions, and I think you need to do a little bit more work in service. I'll give it back to you guys.
Let me ask, because she did ask me a question, and then you guys said you wanted to hear a response, but I think I heard an expression of opinion. So I just want to make sure you're all done before I respond to it.
No, just wanting to say that even then, I would still want you to point out, even at the hospital, something that you did that made you stand out on when actually taking a leadership role. But you already answered it. You said you did it.
You know what's wild? I'm certain there's nothing that this lady has done opposite of probably having children, because I want to say that having children and serving as a veteran, all right, could even measure up halfway to this dude's accomplishments. She believes that this is easy for people to do. And I'm sure she can't name one more person who has done most of the things that this gentleman has done. But for some strange reason, she framed her question for him to lose out. In order to win a debate, you got to ask a question that you already know the answers to, and that you already know from your research that they have not done. That's what she's doing to him. And now she don't even want to listen to him. I asked you a question. I'm listening to you break it down to me, your service and how you contributed and how you got people to buy into whatever it is you're presenting to us. This medicine to save children, it wasn't about saving children. It was all about you and you becoming a millionaire. That was super easy. I could have done that. I could do that right now. As a matter of fact, the biggest thing I've done other than being a vet is back in when I was 10 years old and the teacher slapped the paper on my hand, and I didn't like the way the teacher slapped the paper on my hand. So I organized all the kids to go up against the teacher, and I end up getting suspended. And that's when my career of being a social activist started. So I'm bigger than you and I'm better than you because I care. It's not about me. It's about them. Ma'am, it's about you. It's about you. That's why your 10-year-old story means so much to you. But it didn't do a damn thing for society. Okay? And that's one thing that she would never accept.
Because it was a motivation to get in college.
Exactly.
Which means it
was
about you.
And I'm being very honest about that. But
everything's about...
Be quiet and let him talk. Please. You asked him a damn question. Now let him talk. Before he even answered, he said, I'm about to answer this, but are you going to let me answer it? And she's just, you failed the test. I'm about to give it back over to the men. You failed the test. You failed it.
So everything has been about you. So as a veteran,
let me tell you something. I appreciate
it's very hard for me to follow leaders that make everything about them. So you might want to work on that because it's a lot of veterans and Republicans. So you might want to work on that talking point and maybe do some volunteering while you're on the campaign trail. I'm going to give it back to Charlamagne and Envy.
Yeah. Once I want to be respectful. Want to make sure you got everything you wanted to on the table before I respond to that.
If this was just us, it would be a lot more.
You guys tell me. I'm the guest on your show. You tell me when I'm good to speak.
Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead.
You sure? Mm-hmm. You sure about that? If we're good.
Yeah, we're sure.
So I think there's a different worldview that we have. And I think the worldview is how one actually makes contributions in a country. I do not believe that there's a separate category of just if you're serving the country and then if you're acting in self-interest, that's somehow sinful or wrong. I reject that vision. To the contrary, I think capitalism is the best system known to man to lift people up from poverty. I deeply respect and I thank you for your service to this country. I'm grateful for it. I haven't served the country in the way that you have. But I think that the way you get ahead in capitalism How did I develop a multi-billion-dollar biotech company? It was by developing medicines that save people's lives.
A lot of people say capitalism causes poverty.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think that capitalism demands that you provide something to someone that helps them more than you're actually charging them for it. That's the only way.
That's
the
a
tried
business
and true
model,
way
sir. That's
it
not
is a business
service.
model. It's not. I'm not
That's
saying
not
it's
service.
I'm saying
You said you was going to let him talk. Shut your ass up. Let the man say what he got to say. And Charlemagne the God, you more than anybody else in that room has benefited off of capitalism, and you understand capitalism very well, extremely well as a businessman. You know how many people you done helped, how many jobs you have created. And when you create jobs, what does that do for their families? That take care of families. Some people say that capitalism is a bad thing, but you over there rich as hell. Same thing for DJ Envy. This dude went into real estate to get to the bag, but he was also selling people houses and buying people's homes. And when you do that, that keeps the money circulating in the country, and that help people. This dude, what am I missing here? Is she ever going to shut up? I'm going to finish listening to this, but is she ever going to shut up and let this man answer?
And it's having an impact on society.
An elected official is service. That's the disconnect.
That's right. So now I'm moving on to there are phases of our lives where we do different things.
Well, you're moving straight all the way up.
Yo! Is she going to shut up? Is she going to shut up? I need for her to just, woman, you said you're extremely disingenuous. You're a liar. You're a veteran, but you was a veteran for what? You was a veteran for your damn self. You went to serve for your own reasons, not because you love the country. You went because it benefited you. It paid for your college. It got you into a better position in life, and you ran the play. You're one of those people. Stop acting as if you did it for the country. You did not. Everybody don't run their race the same exact way. You cannot say that if you don't do it this way, then you can't do it and I don't trust you because blah, 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 blah. Woman, first of all, I don't want you to trust me. You don't have to trust me. I'm not in here to throw no sales pitch at you. This dude is so laid back. He's so respectful. He's listening to you every single time you run your damn mouth. He's not trying to throw no sales pitch at you at all. He don't need you to vote for him. He don't need your money. He don't need you to buy into what he's selling. He's not selling you anything. All he wants you to do is shut the hell up while he answers the question. Why? Not because he's against women or anything like that. He wants you to do him the same courtesy that he did you. That's it. When you were running your mouth, he shut up.
Up to President of the United States.
You know, I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't view it as a hierarchy. I don't believe in hierarchies. The hierarchy is the way the bureaucracy works. I don't believe in so we have a difference in opinion.
You also don't believe in service, and that's where we're having a disconnect.
Well, I disagree with you on that. I just disagree with you on that.
I think it's whack that you're proposing to revoke voting rights for 18 to 24-year-olds unless they meet certain qualifications, but you never exercised your rights.
Well, most young people don't, is the whole point. Well, so, Charlamagne, let me ask you a question. Do you think the largest
voter turnouts have been over the last couple of elections, few elections?
They still voted at a very low rate. But let me ask you a question. What do you think about high school students being required to pass the civics test? What's your perspective on that?
The one that you proposed?
The one that every immigrant has to pass in order to enter the country. If every high school student has to pass that before they graduate, what's your take on that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
Okay, good. Now let me tell you something about the law as it exists today. Men in this country, not women, but men are required by law to register with the Selective Service, age 18 to 25. That's the draft. We don't have a draft, but men have to register. If you don't, they put you in prison. At least they can. It's a criminal offense if you don't. My view is I would decriminalize that. I don't like the government telling you what you can and cannot do. That's not the American way. But if you want to enjoy the civic privilege of voting, then I think it is perfectly legitimate to say you have to at least know something about the country or have served that country, one or the other. Absolutely. Now, I think that what do we actually care about, right? We can do the personal attack thing. We care about the country. We care about the country.
Voting is the cornerstone of democracy, though.
Voting is the cornerstone of democracy. I have not.
Sir,
yeah, that's right. And you know, here's the thing. Here's the thing that's different
sir, excuse me, because this is important. We have to pause it. This is not a personal attack.
That's okay.
It is a personal attack. It is a personal attack. It is. It most certainly is.
This is you, and I know that as a Republican, you are certainly not soft. So this is not a personal attack.
Yeah,
I'm okay with attacks too. This is about asking about your background and how it correlates, how it's relevant to saying you're going to serve this country, because president is actually.
So I have been an open book in the last 3 years.
Yeah, I know,
Absolutely.
and I'm going page by page.
And I'm saying that I have not.
I'm gonna let you finish.
Yep.
But
You're not gonna let him finish. You talking right now is a prime example of you not letting him finish. What the hell? This lady, I swear to goodness. Listen, she feels like she's above him. That's what she feels. I feel like I'm above you. Me, I served this country. I'm above you. And I did it for the country. I love this country. Oh, sugar, honey, iced tea. You still get great benefits. You still get paid for it. So many great things has happened to your pocketbook because you fought for the country. Stop faking. But you'll never put that out there. Why? Because then that will make you look like the person you're trying to paint him to be. And we all see. We see you. I know I see you.
But I want to be clear. It's not an attack.
Okay.
Because you've been an open book, but that doesn't mean I have to like what's on the page.
That's fair
But
enough.
It's not an attack. I'm just reading the book.
Yep.
And so when I hear somebody say you need to get to either pass this test or do some type of service to the country, and I spend hours looking, you were in the Phi Beta Kappa. Did you have a leadership role in college, the honor roll? When somebody sets service as the standard and they've done no service except to themselves, that's a fair question. It's a question.
That's
and you just
so I've been on the, I mean, look, I was on I was on high school student council. Yes, absolutely.
Were you a leader? Were you a leader?
I was a vice president of my high school student.
Don't play her game, Vivek. Don't, bruh, you playing her game. You ain't even got to.
Council, absolutely. I was the president of the National Honor Society. I can go down the list. It's just that
that's what I was asking you to do.
Absolutely.
Go down the list. But
so I was a president of the National Honor Society. I was the vice president of my student council. I was a lead amongst the volunteers at the hospital where I served growing up. I was actually a leader in volunteer research over the summers. From my senior year.
All of that, but you already admitted all of that was to get into college.
Not all of it, but I am admitting it.
Woman, you fought for the country to get into college, but go ahead.
I think that
I know that's self-service, though. Do you understand the difference between self-service and service?
I think the reality is, and I think we just all have to be more honest. When many high school students are serving today, not all of them, but I think let's smoke it out. I don't like that structure where we actually mix service with self-interest.
And I don't like.
She still won't stop. Shut the hell up, woman. Please.
The structure of somebody saying somebody need to give service as a veteran. I don't like the structure of somebody going to the highest office of the land and have not served anybody at any time unless it was self-serving.
Hey, let me tell you something. Lady who believed that she sounds so smart. Let me tell you something. The worst president in the United States that I can think of in my lifetime was a lifelong politician serving. All right? He's been serving his entire life. That's what he's been doing. Lifelong politician. How is that working out for us? How is that working out for us? Please, if it's somebody, I wish Vivek would have said something like that. Here's the thing. When you're right there, everybody's going up against him. You need to answer the question the way she wants you to answer the question. People, y'all need to understand that it's more than one way to answer a question. It's more than one way to serve. That's where a lot of Christians like to point their finger at other Christians because you've never been on the usher board and you've never been a deacon in training and you've never played an instrument and you've never sung in the choir and you've never been a minister and you've never been anything in the church. So you're not a good Christian. What? You don't love God. You don't love people because you didn't serve the way I think you should be serving. Are you freaking kidding me? Maybe if you shut up and listen to what he's saying, you will understand the value and what could possibly benefit us from what he's proposing. But rather than do that, all you want to do is attempt to prove him wrong, and you're actually looking dumb as hell while doing so. And the sad thing is, DJ Envy and Charlamagne the God are swinging from your nutsack the whole time as if you're doing something and you are not. It's sad because I want to see you win. And right now you're not. You sound horrible. You won't even shut up.
So this is where we just have two different ideologies. And I know your goal is to come here and get into.
Here's my perspective.
That's why we got different perspectives.
Remember, two guys, you got to leave in 5 minutes. I know.
I'll let them wrap up.
Let me just say one thing: is here's my vision of the run for presidency, and this is why I say I'm an open book. Is my job is to make sure people in this country know who I am and what I stand for. And I think that very few politicians on either party actually get that job done. So what I say is I'm an open book about who I am and what I stand for. Whether the people of this country want to vote for me, that's their question, not mine. That's their job to determine, not mine. And you're free not to vote for me. I expect you won't, and that's okay. But I'm doing my job in the 3 books I've written over the last year, in the conversation I'm having with you guys, being far more honest than any politician that I know in the last 10 years in this country. And I think when I say we want to fix corruption, you don't know what the first step is. The first step is actually people being honest. So you guys know me. You know what I stand for. I haven't hit back on that. Whether people in this country want to vote for it, that's their choice.
Do you want to unite the country?
I do want to unite the country.
So why is one of your marquee campaign proposals making sure black people can no longer benefit from affirmative action?
See, here's the thing.
No more handouts. No more handouts. Work for yours, huh? Y'all claim to be the ones that built every damn thing, but you want some help getting to the front. That's what you need. You need that, right? Huh? But you got immigrants who come and they catapult past you because you're still waiting for a handout, huh? That's why. That would have been my answer. But I'm not Vivek. Let's see what he has to say.
It's actually been a disastrous experiment over the last 60 years. I've seen the impact that it's had. Unlike a lot of other executives, I've had senior executives in my company who happen to be black, senior executives in my campaign who happen to be black. I actually went to a majority or close to majority black school 1st through 8th grade. There isn't a single one of those black kids or black colleagues that could not have achieved everything I have in my life. I firmly believe that to be true. And I have seen the unfair discrimination behind closed doors, the things that people will say behind closed doors, about somebody who would have had that position anyway, but was unfairly tarred with the taint of saying they got it because of a race-based quota system. I think that's unjust to everyone across the board. And I think the right way to do this is actually ensure equality of opportunity, educational access at an early age, which, by the way, we don't have in this country, starting at an actual young age. How about doing that in a way that's agnostic to race? That way we prevent seeing one another on the basis of a color of our skin, but we actually solve the real inequalities that we have when it starts with inequality of opportunity, starting with education. So my view is, I think my approach is actually going to be more successful in lifting up more black Americans than have been the Lyndon Johnson approach of actually using race-based quota systems.
I'm going to make them, in words, vote Democrat for the rest of their lives, is what he said. Okay, just in case Charlemagne don't understand what he's talking about, that's what he's talking about, sir.
The Supreme Court does rule on affirmative action, and they do ban it. Who do you feel it benefits versus who it hurts?
I think that it helps everyone if they end race-based affirmative action in college admissions. I think it will literally help everyone in different ways because it restores merit in the United States. Are we perfect in ensuring equality of opportunity? No, we're not. The fact that kids are trapped by the zip code in which they're born, determining where they go to school, is a problem, which is why I favor universal school choice in this country, which has actually done more to help black Americans than has any affirmative action program.
What's your thought?
Well, hold on. Acknowledge what he's saying. And I'm not going to do a whole bunch of talking. I believe I've done enough already. But if people start staying their ass in the house and studying, they will see that they are going to go extremely far. But most people, I don't care what type of environment or what type of neighborhood you're in. If you're not in the house studying and taking your future seriously, then honestly, you earned every single thing you got. That's how that works. That's how it all works. You earned it.
Thoughts on people saying that you got Don Lemon fired?
I think that the New York Times reported that. I had an open debate with Don Lemon. What CNN wanted to do with that is their choice. My view is, though, we need to start saying in public the things that people are otherwise saying in private. There's a gap right now in the country. Let's admit it. Democrat, Republican, it doesn't matter.
Be careful with that, because a lot of people in your party are going to start saying out loud.
What? All right, Charlamagne. Bruh, be a part of the conversation. You know why he said that? He said that for shock value. He's a disc jockey. So that he had to say that for entertainment purposes. He didn't have to say it, but he said it anyway for entertainment purposes. But
I don't think so, actually. And I would certainly hope not. I would condemn it if they do. I would condemn it if anybody does. All right. But what I think is we need to close the gap between what people say in private and what they say in public. That allows us to air our differences, and then we actually find unity that way. That's actually what I think unites the country, not creating this culture of hush hush, right? Say one thing in public and a different thing in private. And I do reject Don Lemon's premise. What did he tell me on set? He said, you can disagree with me when you have black skin and you've lived in this country, whatever ethnicity you are. Explain it to me. I just reject that. I think we should.
Sir, let's just use a real example of just what everybody said.
Back.
You said, people can have difference of opinion. They can have, you want to unite people. I gave you a difference of opinion as a veteran, and you came back and said that I was personally attacking you. And that is a way of gaslighting and basically, trying to set the idea.
You was personally attacking him, though. So don't do that. Now you're trying to play the gaslighting card. Don't do that. That is manipulative. What you're doing is extremely manipulative. And you know what? She's trying to use every superpower that she has. She's really trying, and she's being supported because DJ Envy and Charlamagne are allowing it to happen. It's not gaslighting. Young lady, you was extremely low-key disrespectful from the get-go, telling a man that he just sat around and ain't do nothing. Someone that has actual accomplishments, someone that busted their ass to achieve every single thing that they achieved. But you told them that they just sat around and ain't do nothing. But now you feel like you deserve. And you wasn't personally attacking him. That is, in and of itself, personally attacking someone. What am I missing? He wasn't gaslighting you because he threw it back at you. Oh, I dare you do a me on me. That's my job to do a me on you. Don't you dare mirror me. Just in case y'all don't know what that is, that's what she did. She threw some sugar honey iced tea at him, and he put one of those little tubes up that caught it in one side, and the other side just catapulted it right into her face. And now she's saying that you gaslit me by doing that. Come on, sis. Relax.
Was against you when I just had. That's the statement you made, and what I'm saying is, instead of us just having the debate, because see, I didn't talk about colors, which you probably expected when you came in here.
I did not.
I didn't. Well, that's fine. I didn't talk about color.
You see that? You probably did expect. You probably expected it when Charlamagne the God brought up the color, young lady, when he asked him the affirmative action question, and that's why they started talking about color. All right. So, but now you're back in the conversation and nobody needs you there because your first part of the conversation, you didn't handle that very well. And as a young lady who I believe has done well in life, you're doing yourself and those who think like you and move like you a disservice.
Didn't get all emotional about your vision, because I really wanted to just talk about what you've done in service, because you yourself has raised service as the number one thing that what people need to do in order to participate in the country that my ancestors built. And you said that.
There you go again. You yourself said that service is number one thing that people should participate in the country that my ancestors built. Service is many different things, and you have an extremely small mind if you don't see what he has done as service. But you say, but if it benefit you, it's not service. You do realize that a lot of vets, although they fight for their country and they love their country and they put their lives on the line for their country, they are also benefited by fighting for the country. Okay? They are doing, some of it is for them and some of it is for the country. It's not all for the country. Okay? That's a small-minded way of moving.
that I personally attacked you. So just to give you some advice, if you're going to say, hey, let's have difference of opinion, let's be able to discuss.
I loved everything you did. I loved the whole thing.
Because I had a question that it was a personal attack, because
it was. I don't think a question. I think this is great, because you know what I said? What's the job?
Did you say personal attack?
What's the job is everybody needs to know.
You heard it correctly.
Who a candidate is and what they stand for. That's the candidate's job. Whether you vote for them or not, that's your choice.
Did you say I personally attacked you, or did I hear it wrong? I just want to make sure.
I did not say you personally attacked me. No, I said we have actual good. I wanted to know whether or not we were actually able to. You said sit around for 20 years. I said I didn't sit around for 20 years. But that's okay. I think that, you know what? If somebody's running for U.S. president, I want to say this.
Well, you
can't handle the heat, you stay out of the kitchen. So we'll come in.
We can keep.
See, she hanging on that BS, bruh. She won't shut the hell up. Somebody, can y'all mute her mic or something? Just let her just fume from the other side of the wherever she is, just so won't nobody hear you. Yo,
we'll handle the personal attacks. You did say personal attacks, though. So let's be honest. Remember, that's your number one thing, being honest.
And I know you.
I agree with you.
I know you have to go, but I do disagree on what you said about affirmative action, because I feel like without that legislation, I don't think black people stand a chance. We had to create the legislation to even have a chance.
That's bullshit. And for Charlamagne the God to even say that, bruh, you don't believe in black people as much as you should, and you're not doing enough work for them to really understand how serious life is, and that they need to do what they have to do in order to position themselves to be great in life. They need to really lock themselves in rooms and study and do what they're horrible at or not that great at. They need to become good at it. Period. That's how life is. Life not going to hand you anything. And that's why he's saying that they should be able to pass this test so they can understand the country they live in, so that they can actually have an appreciation for it. But right now, they don't have an understanding. They don't have an appreciation for it. And because of people like that young lady who keep on running her damn mouth, they don't even respect the country they live in.
And I don't know why you have faith that without that legislation, things will be fair or on equal footing for black people.
I think that most people who benefit from affirmative action are the immigrants who came after Kennedy's immigration reform in the 60s. They are not descendants of slaves. They are people who came as immigrants like my parents did. Mm-hmm. And so I just think it is a broken system to say that you look like someone to whom a bad thing once happened, and you're going to be favored over someone who looks like someone who once did a bad thing.
You think your parents would have gotten the same shot without that legislation?
I mean, so it turns out that Asian Americans, Indian Americans don't benefit
from. You want to take away something that
from
benefited your parents, which directly benefited you.
See, here's what I'm saying is whether or not it's in our past, the question is, how do we actually move forward as one nation? And I do not believe it is with race-based quotas. I believe it is economically empowering all Americans.
I think that legislation was put here to protect people that look like me, people that look like you, and I think you're ridiculous to want to get rid of.
Here's what I would say is Lyndon Johnson's Great Society that this was part of, right? So affirmative action was part of it. There was a broader set of policies designed to help black Americans, I think have been disastrous for black Americans and all Americans.
Well, sir, it wasn't disastrous for you. And what Charlamagne is saying is your parents benefited from it.
They did not. I mean, as a point of fact, that's false. Indian Americans do not benefit from affirmative action.
No, that's not as a point of fact. No, that's not as a point of fact. Because without the liberties that black folks have fought for, which has basically immigrants have been able to prosper in this country because of that. But we're not going to go there. Let's just say they benefited from being able to have the freedoms that black people fought for. That's the bottom line. And in turn, it benefited you. And then your answer a moment ago was, well, let's not talk about stuff from our past. See, once it benefited you, you were able, you moved on.
I want to be honest with you. You guys want to get real. Let's get real. My parents were.
That's why the heart of a service. No, sir. Because the black people hadn't fought.
Yeah, we got to get real. My grandparents lived in a colonial society. Britain colonized where my grandparents lived as well. But I think that I don't do well by seeing myself as a victim of the white man because actually Great Britain happened to have colonized where my grandparents were actually colonized.
I think you were That's moving the goalposts. We don't benefited your parents when they got here.
That's right.
What benefited all of us is the fact that we have a free country. Where anybody is free to achieve what they want. I don't know they came to this country with not a lot of money. What benefited them was hard work and dedication. My dad faced layoffs when he was growing up at GE. Right. He went to law school at night to be able to keep his job. What did that teach me?
Affirmative action benefited?
Whoa. Are y'all listening? Y'all keep on saying affirmative action. This dude went to work and went to law school at night. He busts his ass. Y'all aren't listening. Y'all saying, but what about affirmative action? Affirmative action had to have something to do with please tell me something about affirmative action. Matter of fact, you ain't got to tell me. I'm going to tell you. Affirmative action was the reason why he went to law school. Affirmative action was the reason why he ain't died. Affirmative action was the reason why he got into this job and that job and this job and that job. And affirmative action is the reason why you are who you are, because my people built this country and they affirmative action. Shut the hell up, man.
I don't think affirmative action benefited him. Absolutely not. I think hard work and dedication benefited him. And that's part of what I want to share with all Americans. I want to make this the country where no matter who you are and what your skin color is, you get ahead with your own hard work and commitment and dedication. That you get ahead not on the color of your skin, but the content of your character.
He has to go, guys.
And that's what I want for America.
One more thing. You told a voter that you were open to ending foreign aid to Israel. Then it was reported that it was a misunderstanding. What happened with that?
Yeah, it was. That was a false reporting, actually. So I think.
You never said that.
No, I did not. I said that I was open to actually a broad strategy of disengagement from the Middle East. Mm-hmm. My general view is we fought a lot of pointless wars for a very long time. Ukraine's the pointless war of the moment, and I think that the United States needs to disengage from parts of the world if it does not advance American interests. China's the top threat that we face, and we actually need to prioritize that in our foreign policy.
All right. Well, we appreciate you.
All right.